Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So the morning after the deadly breakdown of of yesterday's price action. I mean, it is what it is. It's so far it's not the worst thing in the world. It's I wouldn't say it was expected, but we were talking, a few weeks ago about the possibility of a liquidity grab, which would be around the $50,000 zone. So yeah, I think we're along the lines of that. Also, there was a buy the rumor, sell the news event, with the whole El Salvador legal tender business. You know what I mean? So, yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We from our low, from our double bottom low to our high, just 49 days apart, 81% move up to the price action where we are right now, 55% up. No big deal. Although I can understand and I do respect why people panic over these sort of things. There is an 18-19% drop. I think when I made that liquidity grab video, we were roughly expecting between from 50 to 41, which would have been a 16-17% drop. And a possibility of potentially even coming down to the green 50 exponential. Although that was kind of unlikely. Although nothing's out of the realms of possibility. We know why we like cryptocurrency. It's volatile. We like the volatility on the way up. We don't particularly like it on the way down, but it is all part of the way that this whole thing is played. So it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Interestingly, September historically has had a bit of a nasty reputation for red days, red weeks, potentially a red month. Daily, we're still holding on to that green 50. No, not a massive big problem. 41,000 is not out of the realms of possibility, and just below that we've got the 200 exponential at 40,000. Look, all of that would be okay. It would definitely be okay. It wouldn't be too much of an issue. In fact, it wouldn't be an issue at all. We check the monthly so far. Obviously, this is the month so far, red month. For this to really become a massive reversal and confirm a bear market, we'd be closing the monthly below our previous open. So we are talking about a closure below 41,000, or we'll call it 40,000, but 41,000, which is the upper middle version or portion of the accumulation range, which is what all of this area was. Accumulation center, accumulation outer range. We're still in the accumulation. We've not broken out yet. No monthly closures above there. And my expectation is that we will get a candle body closure outside of there. It's going to be okay. In my opinion, it's going to be okay. But for the moment, it's not okay for the most part. But don't worry about it. It's nice to see that some of our coins that we trade on this channel are still pumping. I mean, FET still up 24% versus Bitcoin, still doing really well. Bit of a pullback is required, I would say, and it's perfectly normal, perfectly natural for that to happen. And I would expect that. We're outside the Bollinger Band here on the daily. We're not here to talk about that though. We're going to have a look at Algorand, which has been one of the hodl coins that we've had on this channel since I suppose since January, or maybe even before. This is one of the ones I hold blindly in my portfolio, labeled potential CBDCs, basically. So it's one of those things I always feel is like too risky not to hold. You just don't know where it's going, and also it's not a Mickey Mouse company. It's run by some decent people. They've got vision. They might have bitten off more than they can chew, but they've got vision. Plus, I stick it all in Coinbase where it just stakes. Basically, it's sitting there staking every day. So, and I can sell it whenever I want, but I don't intend on selling this until it reaches its full potential. And its full potential, I couldn't really begin to tell you where it's going to go. I would expect, however, a brand new all-time high at some point this year, if not the beginning of next. So let's have a look. We got our golden cross, and we're looking at this on Tether first. Golden cross, and dumped yesterday all the way down to the $1 mark. Also the green 50 exponential, where we basically skyrocketed like an absolute beast. Now, I was talking on my Telegram channel the other day, asking if anybody knew anything about the CBDCs, because I'd noticed that XRP, Algorand, and XLM they'd all been feeling a little bit of a pump, and it seemed to be quite equal. So it made me think that maybe there was something going on that I'm unaware of. I can appreciate that they're all pumping because their charts were looking good, and this is still looking very good. But for them to all receive more or less the same equivalent it's almost like people are trying to hedge their bets. Has there been something said somewhere along the lines? I don't know, but based upon this chart, yeah, I mean, I think this could even go higher, higher today. But let's think about it in terms of its Bitcoin pairing, because this is where things are going to get really interesting. We've got an incoming golden cross. Be very hard to cancel that one out. Now, obviously, a golden cross would expect to see a bit of a dump down into it. Obviously, we're very extended here on this Bitcoin chart here. RSI is all the way up at 82. Is that the highest it's been in a long time? We had a nice big run and pump up here, which came a bit higher. But generally, this is the highest RSI read that we generally get after these pumps. So a consolidation after this is probably required. Although the chart is looking pretty good on the daily there, and not overextended on the money flow index either. And again, that's only a daily, so it would just be a small consolidation well, I say a short time frame consolidation if it were to at all. Now the weekly, we're pushing up to the top of this this cloud here, and this is where things will really start to take on a new form. Closing weeklies above the cloud is going to be the first portion of what I would consider to be super bullish. Second would be this cheeky span closing above the cloud. We've already got the green area here, and do we have our positive cross? Not yet. We don't yet. So we've got 2 out of the 4 things that we look for a larger move. And if we are going to get a larger move on this one, we have to think about where that's likely to go. We've got candle bodies and bottoms and tops around this kind of zone here. We're talking just over 5,000 sats, which, you know, if we were to get all those 4 components of that Ichimoku cloud, we'll be looking for another 52% versus Bitcoin on this one. So it doesn't matter what Bitcoin's doing at the time, that's what this chart would suggest. We just got to wait for those other 2 aspects of the chart to confirm on that Ichimoku cloud, and then we're good to go. Weekly MACD turning up obviously after what's happened today, but as our first positive tick on the histogram there. Not particularly overextended on here. I would say that this is actually looking pretty good on a weekly, but it is a weekly, which means that it can take weeks for these signals to kick in, and it will likely take weeks for these signals to kick in. If we break out and break above the 5,300 or 5,250 or whatever it was, then yeah, I mean, this can really start to make some giant leaps, huge moves, you know, massive ones, huge ones. Which is why, like I say, it's always one of those coins that's too risky not to hold, because the chart has always been a little bit of a flatlined, you know, kind of basic move, and never been massively aggressive. It's had moments, it's definitely had moments, but it's got an enormous total and circulating supply. What am I doing here? And because of that, I suppose it's largely been kept down. If we think about this on a giant fib retracement, what we see is from the bottom to the top, breaking out from here, would offer us, I suppose, this kind of zone around here. So we do have some large moves if these areas, 57%, all the way up to 156% potentially, and then breaking above there would really start to see some giant, massive moves. Really big, bold ones. So yeah, I mean, the way that it's looking at the moment, although it's baby steps, you know, Algorand, you know, it doesn't notoriously pump like this. You see, so it's not that it's out of character. It's just it's relatively rare, and we don't want to get massively, you know, put our massive bull horns on about this one just because of what's happened today. One hell of a decent reaction, and maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes that we can't quite fathom at the moment. You know, it is a major contender for CBDCs, which are definitely going to come in at some point, and because it's a major contender, you know, there could be people knowing something that we don't know. Do you know what I mean? And it's being bought up at a respectable low. In you know, I suppose considering what we've just looked at on this chart, there are milestones that need to be met. One here, one here, one here. But once those 3 have broken, this could end up doing some very nice big moves. So let's take a step back for one brief second and just recognise that yes, we are very extended at the moment. Yes, the chart has a golden cross, and normally we would expect to see a retest of some of these moving averages. So I think that we're likely to come back down, you know, whether it's today, tomorrow, or some point soon. These big pumps for Algorand are historically sold off into. You know, they pump and they come back down, they pump, they come back down. This is what it does. So today has been a very nice move. I still think it's likely to come back down, but it's nice to see that there's some life in the old dog, especially when the market is extremely red, and most altcoins are down 10, 20, 30, maybe even more than that percent in a day. Do you know what I mean? In a 24-hour period. So yeah, very pleased with the way this is working out. I suppose, you know, because it's a long-term position. It's been staking for a considerable amount of time, and I don't expect to sell it until something is realised with it, and either a brand new huge high with a very overextended money flow index on a weekly, or it literally becomes, you know, the building blocks for, you know, a major CBDC. Anyway, like I say, it's one of those things too risky not to hold. I suppose it's not for me to say where to buy it. That's not my intention. I've already had this. I've had it for a long time now, you know, since down below 30 cents, 35 cents or so, and it's been staking for a large portion of that. So I'm just going to, you know, it's up to you what you decide to do. Like I say, standing back, looking at this right now, there's a lot of areas of resistance that it needs to take out, and they are way above where we are at right now. So to expect it to, you know, make you a millionaire or something like that, especially buying it today when the market's looking the way it is, it's kind of unrealistic. However, I believe it's a very good addition to my portfolio, which is why it's always been in there. And especially the way that you can stake it at 4% interest on Coinbase, and you can sell it whenever you want. There's no lockup on it, you see, so it's just sitting there basically, like some kind of high interest bank account for me at the moment. Right, that's your Algorand. Like I say, at resistance now, I would say. Potentially going to get sold off into, I would say. But, you know, with the market the way it is, the market isn't generally at a low. And the market could potentially bounce from here, meaning that it could bounce and take Algorand even higher. Look, sometimes we just got to let the dust settle. And today, you know, looking at this, it is nice to see, but I just know its behaviour, Algorand's behaviour. You know, these pumps, you know, usually get sold off into. It doesn't mean it's not the start of an uptrend. It seems a bit overextended for the day. But overall, I mean, I'm getting a little excited about it. But I suppose I'm biased because I hold an inordinate amount, you know, an unreasonable amount of it. Anyway. Live stream tonight. For what it's worth, I have to say, you know, we're going to have to wait for the dust to settle to really think about what's actually going on. Because with Bitcoin, the way the way it reacted yesterday, that was a fair old whack. We can call it a liquidity grab, but until we start to see some reactions here, as in trends forming either to the up or to the down, it's going to be too early, really, to make any decisions on the market. The 4-hour looks pretty awful, I would say. It really does, and because of that, that we don't know what was going to take place on the daily. We don't know how the daily is going to behave. We don't know if this is going to break down and make new lows. So it is going to be a bit of a guessing game, really, because, you know, just like I say, it's that metaphor. You have to wait for the dust to settle to be able to see what's going on in front of you. At the moment, the dust hasn't settled at all. It's still pretty foggy out there, and that's fine to accept that and just leave it to do its thing. If I were to use my gut feeling about this, which is, I suppose, you know, it depends how long you've been trading for, but sometimes a gut feeling is based around your understanding of Bitcoin's behaviour and the market's behaviour. My expectation is that this month is going to be a bit choppy, and it'll be the last month that we're inside this accumulation range, and we may come down to 41,000, which is the top side of this inside range, and retest that before we finally make our way out. The final shakeout, basically, before we go into the next bull phase, because we've not been bullish yet. We've been from the bottom of the accumulation range to the top of the accumulation range, and we're still in that. So, you know, this is still technically an accumulation range. So whether you decide to accumulate it or not is up to you. What we do with altcoins is a different story altogether, because if we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is something I reference all the time, we could bounce here, but we may not. We could bounce here, but we may not. The market is different than it's ever been before. We can use support resistance, and I said it yesterday. on one of the videos, the Bollinger Band on this weekly Bitcoin dominance chart seems to be the way to play it right now. As simple as that sounds, but it has been. We bottomed out here, which correlates to our previous bottoms around here, so that was okay. We had a nice bounce, and then we broke down at the 20 weekly. And yesterday we caught the bounce at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. So yeah, there is only a matter of time before this actually breaks out or breaks down. But for the moment, it's bearish. But it can't go a great deal lower. I always say it. The lower we go, the more cautious we have to be trading altcoins in general, because there will likely be a rotation at some point where money flows from the altcoins into Bitcoin, and that is definitely a trade that you would like to be in. You would not want to be missing out on the Bitcoin pump, not because Bitcoin's gonna the size of the pump will eclipse anything that you've ever seen on an altcoin chart, but mostly because when the market cap leaves alts into Bitcoin, then Satoshis get lost along the way, and all those gains that you've made, you'll still be up most likely if you've been trading for a while, but you will see that Bitcoin has its time in the sun and takes back everything that has been taken from it as far as market cap. And alts will go down, at least just in their Satoshi pairings, if not some of them will go down in their dollar pairings. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. A long rambly addition to the YouTube channel. I hope you have a nice day, guys. Stay safe. Don't make any rash decisions, and take it easy.